Hi guys, today we're going to talk a little bit more about social housing investment. As you know, we've been running this program for a while now, and we have been receiving a lot of inquiries from people who are saying this sounds like a good investment, but a little bit sounds too good to be true because it's 20% return on your investment per year, when in general you will receive in London roughly 5 to 7%, sometimes even less. So today we're going to explain to you how exactly social housing investment works and why you will receive such a high profit on the return of your investment. So we will begin by showing you who exactly is involved in the entire process of the social housing investment. So we have three main figures. So we got the housing provider that is doing the management of the units that you're going to invest in. We have the council that is going to rent out the properties, and then we have the landlord. So what do they do basically? So let's say this is going to be the housing provider, that's the landlord, and this is the council. Now, the housing provider comes to the landlord who has, let's say, 10 units. After he approaches the landlord, he says, I'm going to take 10 units off of your hands so that we will be able to rent it further on, but I'm going to pay you the price that is below market value. Let's just say, for the sake of this example, so that it's easier to calculate, that one unit is going to be, this is not right, we need to put it in pounds. One unit is £1,000. So the total fee for 10 units should be 10,000. The housing provider says, how about instead of paying you 10,000 for 10 units, we're going to pay you 8,000, but we're going to take them all off of your hands, and it becomes a good opportunity for the landlord to get rid of all units at the same time. Have rented out for £8,000, they go to the council and they rent it out 20% above market value, which means they're going to rent it for £12,000. And council is happy to pay because there is a crisis with people who are not able to rent a flat, and they will gladly take it off their hands, even for a higher price. That means that the housing provider gets about £4,000 in profit from this whole scheme. Now, where do you come from? So where do you come in? So the investors, in this case, are needed so that the housing provider is able to prepare the flats for the new tenants. As you know, social housing is going to have people who sometimes are not the best tenants, sometimes they're good tenants, but in any case, they need to do the refurbishment of the flats, they need to put in the new furniture, so they need to make sure that if the flat is empty, they can cover the costs when they are not renting it out to anyone. So the investors are going to put in the money so that the housing provider can prepare the flats to let to the council. That's how it works. So they're going to take those 10 units and they're going to say, okay, we want you to invest. So the investor, for example, puts their money into one of the units. Now, one unit, as you can see on most of our advertisements, is about 13. So it's not about, it's exactly £13,500. So this is how much money they need to prepare one unit to be livable. From this investment, once they take this money off of your hands, you sign the contract that is going to stipulate that you will receive £600 each month for a period of 36 months. Now, this is going to come after the initial 3 months grace period, which is needed for them to prepare the house to be livable. So that means that from the month number 4, you will start receiving £600 each month. Now, this in total comes to £21,000, 600, if I'm not mistaken, or is it 400? But essentially, it's going to be 20% return on your investment per year. In total, over 3 years, you will receive 60% return on your investment. Now, with all this scheme, one thing that people also ask, they say, okay, so we got the housing provider, we got a good system, we understand how the profit is going to be made. Now, how do I know that the housing provider is going to actually pay me this money? What if it goes bust? What if it goes bankrupt? What if they cannot pay you the money? And this is a good question and it's a valuable concern. So what do they do to make sure that your investment is secured? So first of all, they have 2 non-executive trustees, which means those are people who are involved in this scheme if you want, as guarantors. That means that if they cannot pay you out the money, if the housing provider goes bust, they cannot continue to pay out the investments. Those two non-executive trustees are going to continue to pay you your monthly income, basically your monthly £600 that you should receive from a single unit. This doesn't go anywhere. This is going to be stipulated as well in the contract. It's going to be written down, as well as in the contract is written that you have a completely hands-off free investment, so you don't need to be involved in the whole process of are there tenants, are there no tenants, you know, how much profit the housing provider is making is not your problem. You're just receiving your money on monthly basis. Now, with those two non-executive trustees, in case they cannot pay you out the money, then the last option is the council. And the council signs the contract with the housing provider as well, saying that in case the housing provider goes bust and the non-executive trustees, they die, God forbid, or something happens to them, they cannot pay you out the money as well, then the council takes over repayments and the council continues to pay. That's why the scheme is government backed. So in worst case scenario, which is very unlikely, the government is going to pay you back your £600 per unit each month. Now, of course, if the council goes broke, then you will not receive your investment back, but I think we will all have bigger problems to worry about in this case. So guys, if you have any other questions, do not hesitate to get in touch with us. We're going to put a link below. You can ask any questions that you want. We can have a phone conversation with you, we can have a chat, or you can even come to our office and we will explain to you everything in details so that you don't have any concerns when you're investing in social housing.